For the time we have together on this occasion, I want to continue the discussion we began on events in Numbers chapter 13 and chapter 14. Spies have been sent into the promised land, 12 of them in all. They spent 40 days looking at every aspect of that land, the length of it, the breadth of it, even brought back some of the produce from the land. And made the statement that it's everything that we had heard. It's really a land that flows with milk and honey is the way that it's described. But there are some problems. There are some complications. The people that are living there are well fortified. They have more weaponry than we will ever hope to have. In fact, we view ourselves as grasshoppers in their sight. We mentioned a statement that Caleb made in chapter 13 where he said, "Let us go up at once and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it." But the nation of Israel listens to 10 of the spies that say, "We cannot do this." So much so that they say, "Why has the Lord brought us to this land to fall by the sword?" Chapter 14, verse 3. Verse number 4, "Let us select a leader and return to Egypt." It'd been better if we died in Egypt than to be out here. So let's pick out somebody to lead us back into servitude and slavery. It's a defeatist attitude at the very heart of it. But still in chapter 14, there's a statement that's made in verse number 6. Actually 6 and 7. Joshua and Caleb, who are among those who had spied out the land, said to the people in verse 7, "The land we passed through to spy out is an exceedingly good land." Verse number 8, "If the Lord delights in us, then he will bring us into this land and give it to us, a land that flows with milk and honey." Verse number 9, "Only do not rebel against the Lord, nor fear the people of the land, for they are our bread. Their protection is departed from them. The Lord is with us. Do not fear them." Is that enough to sway the crowd out of that negative response? Verse number 10, "All the congregation said to stone Joshua and Caleb with stones." Doesn't sound like it went over very well. Here's a situation where they are asking the nation, remember what has happened. If God's with us, we can do this. Think about where we used to be in our plight in Egypt. Think about where we are now. Think about what has transpired to actually allow us to be here at the southern border of this promised land. It's everything that we have imagined and more. Obstacles to overcome? Yes, but if God's with us, we can do this. Still not enough to dissuade the crowd. So in the verses that follow, the statement is made from God to Moses. Verse number 22. "Because all these men have seen my glory and the signs which I did in Egypt and in the wilderness, and have put me to the test now these 10 times, have not heeded my voice. They certainly shall not see the land of which I swore to their fathers, nor shall any of those who rejected me see it." However, verse 24, "My servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit in him, has followed me totally, followed me fully. I will bring him into this land where he went. His descendants shall inherit it." If you continue that thought in verse 29, talking to the nation, the message is, "The carcasses of you who have complained against me shall fall in this wilderness. All of you who were numbered according to your entire number from 20 years old and above, except for Caleb and Joshua, you shall by no means enter the land which I swore I would make you dwell in. Your little ones, whom you said would be victims, I will bring in. They will know the land which you have despised. But as for you, your carcasses shall fall in the wilderness." Only Joshua and Caleb of that generation of adults over age 20 will find their way into that promised land. Now, when those words are actually spoken by Moses to the people, here's what they say in verse number 40. "They rose up early in the morning and went up to the top of the mountain, saying, 'Here we are. We'll go up to the place where God has promised, for we have sinned.' It's too little too late." Moses said in verse 41, "Now why do you transgress the command of the Lord?" This is not going to succeed. What's involved in the statement that you find being made by Joshua and Caleb, this is something that can be victorious for us if we stay faithful and true to the power of God that we've seen before us already in the land of Egypt. But the nation No, we can't do this. And then they change their mind. Oh, if it means that we're going to have to die in the wilderness, we'll go up and fight against them. That's really not showing faith. That's really not showing faithfulness. Decisiveness, it's a decisively defeatist attitude that continues. They actually try. In verse 45, the Amalekites and the Canaanites who dwelt in that mountain came down and attacked those individuals and drove them back. There is a reward in remembering and believing. There is doom for individuals that actually refuse to acknowledge what's taken place in the past. Can you imagine individuals that are on the precipice of an inheritance, but they're going to have to work for that inheritance? And they almost believe that they'll go in there and that they are totally alone trying to conquer that land. But God has promised all along the way, I'll be with you. How soon people forget. Short-term memory loss is something that you see in this 21st century. It's not a new calamity. It's something that is as old as time itself. Short-term memory loss among these people. They have forgotten in such a drastic way that those adults will die in the wilderness. Their children will go into that promised land. Didn't have to be that way. But that disbelief, that dismay at obstacles brings about punishment in their life upon that entire generation. The belief, the decisiveness in a positive way of Joshua and Caleb enables them, as the only two adults above age 20, they go into that promised land. We start thinking about reward and punishment. The repercussions of actions and even the way that we think are something that may not affect just us, but the younger generation that comes behind us, maybe even more far-reaching than that. Interesting events in these two chapters. Please stay safe. We'll talk again soon.